Today I want to talk to you about one of my most favorite things to do, and that is journaling. Now, I've journaled for over 30 years, and it has been one of the greatest blessings when it comes to my mental health, my spiritual health, and my overall health. So I want to just share with you some benefits that I've found to journaling. And the first benefit is that it helps me to process my thoughts and feelings when I'm triggered. We all know what it's like to be triggered. All of a sudden, you just get angry, you just get anxious, and you're triggered. And if you can just become aware of that and then push the pause button, take a time out, sit down with a piece of paper. You know, Anne Frank said, paper is more patient than people. And you just sit down and write, what am I feeling? What are the thoughts that are leading to my feelings? See, my thoughts lead to my feelings, and my feelings lead to my behaviors. So I've discovered that just writing it down helps me to move from my emotional mind to my wise mind. Now, another benefit of journaling is that it keeps a record of your life. And here's one of the big things that I love about journaling is that I can go back over my journals and I can see the storms that God has got me through. And you know, in some of those storms, I'm like, Lord, there's no way I'm going to get through this, but God got me through it. And it reminds me that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And the same God who got you and me through that storm of yesterday can get us through the storm of today. Now, here's another thing. Journaling helps me to vent. In fact, I call it paper therapy. You know, after Abraham Lincoln died, they found in his desks some letters he had written to some of his generals, and he was just venting. But here's the key. He never sent them. It was like he just needed to vent on paper. Now, the final thing is that coaching helps me to coach myself. Journaling helps me to coach myself. What does that mean? Well, coaching is when someone asks you great questions that cause you to think about a situation differently. And what I've discovered is that I can keep a few questions, and if I ask myself those questions on paper, it's kind of like I can coach myself. For example, I've heard that one of the greatest creative questions is, what is the second right answer? In other words, we can be facing a situation or a problem and we can get bent on this is the correct way to solve it. But what is the second right answer? See, the more options you have, the better. So those are just some of the benefits that I've discovered from over 30 years of journaling. Now, here are some nuts and bolts. First of all, I would encourage you to journal with pen and paper. Maybe that's old-fashioned, but I think there's something neurologically that happens when you and I journal on paper. Now, here's another thing. I want to encourage you to figure out your journaling system. Now, my system is that when I get up in the morning, often my mind is racing. I got to do this, I got to do that, and there's pressure. And what I've discovered is that if I just take the time to write all of that stuff down, it kind of is like downloading it on paper and it's out of here. And that's something I want to really encourage you. Don't keep that stuff up here and in here. Put it down on paper, and then you can go back to it if you need to. And then I do my Bible reading, and I will journal about what I learned from the Bible reading. And then again, as I go throughout the day, if I'm triggered, I'll do what I said earlier. One of my favorite journaling tools is something called the infinity prompt. Now, you may want to write this down. What is the infinity prompt? Is you ask the questions, 4 of them. What happened? What am I telling myself about what happened? How is it making me feel? And number 4, is it the truth? Wow, this is a powerful journaling exercise. And then here's another thing, is that I will often journal before bed. Now, if you think about it, many people have a hard time sleeping at night. And what happens is that they're going all day. They're going, busy. And then they lay down at night and their brain kind of gets the idea that, oh, now it's time to process the day. So what I will do is I will process what happened. And if you take the time to do that before bed, it allows your brain to relax when you go to bed. Now, here's another thing. I would encourage you to think about the fact that I have several different journals. I have a learning journal. This is where I keep track of the things that I'm learning. I have like a processing my emotions journal. I have a work journal. So you can do a bunch of journaling. And if you're wondering, Steve, how do I start journaling? I would encourage you to do a couple things. Number one, just tell yourself, I'm going to journal 2 minutes a day. And what you'll find is that once you get those 2 minutes up, you'll want to do it longer. But if you say, oh, I'm going to journal for 6 hours, of course you're not going to do it. You know, inch by inch, anything's a cinch. Yard by yard, anything's hard. And so I would just encourage you to do that. So yeah, well, I hope that you will give it a try. I mean, it's literally been one of the most powerful tools for my emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental health. Well, thanks for joining me today. I pray that you will love God and love your neighbor as yourself.